Hello, everybody. How are you doing? It's Damon once again with another video, and this time I often talk about movie endings. I already did my top movie endings of all time. I thought it'd be a great idea this time around to talk about what I believe are the best kind of endings as well as the worst kind of endings in movies. So in this case, it's not really a movie; it's a bit of a trope, a genre, an archetype, to say the least, of ending, a prototype of ending that can aid or some of them I love. So, not talking about one movie in particular, just talk about the type of endings I prefer and those I hate. Since I want to start negative, let's start with the biggest kind of ending that can actually tick you off. The "it was all a dream" ending. We've all seen that kind of ending, whether it's show, whether it's uh, Saints Elsewhere's Steve finale was basically was all a dream made up by a kid. We seen it in movies like Click or April Fool's Day or Rant or Wisdom with Emilio Estevez. Sorry, I think those kind of what I hate about that kind of ending. It's completely lazy and undermines all the events that happened from beginning to end, and it basically says you wait. It basically said that you wasted your time watching it. Sure, there are some movies like Total Recall, which I love, that technically as a it could be a dream, but it's not. So this could actually be ambiguous. But the complete and strict linear, it was all a dream ending is stupid. It's like well, basically, it'd be like you or me sleeping, and basically, imagine if our the dream would be broadcast in a movie theater, what you dreamed about. You wake up and I go on to the rest of the day. Not there's not a twist ending. Basically, like the Fresh Prince episode, Fresh Prince Halloween episode, where the twist was when he woke up, the same thing happened again, down to the same language. No, there's no twist. It just happens to be lazy. It's repetitive. It screams across a person who doesn't know how to end a story. So that's one thing I dislike. I also like it's seen more often nowadays, but time traveling, especially in Marvel movies. Why? Because it not just lazy, but it reduced the impact of a character dying, knowing that there might be another variant that comes in. Even time traveling movies, it's like you kill the future him or future person there, but the you can always go to the past to revisit them. It's basically like you're doing a shock value for shock value. You're not doing this to make a good story stand out. So there's many, and just as not just MCU that's basically there. I mean, I really like the Flash movie, especially from Michael Keaton. But even that movie with the time traveling, like why couldn't you go and continue time traveling in that movie? Why couldn't you time travel to basically another time before the story ended and try to save Batman and Supergirl? There's so many things that I don't like about time traveling. And honestly, truth be told, there's a rant. I think a lot of time traveling movies, the more you try to make it complicated, the worse it gets. Keep it simple. Travel. Even Avengers Endgame sometimes stumbles. It stumbles onto its time traveling premise, but at least it makes up for basically for the reunion of every Marvel characters. So yeah, at least this Hot Tub Time Machine. When Hot Tub Time Machine does time traveling better than most movies, you need to think about this. It's a very good comedy, but I'm still surprised. I'm still surprised that it's one of the best time traveling movies there are. So that's in terms of traveling. The other one is another trope that I hate in terms of ending. It was my split identity all along. Or it was me, it was the main character all along. Case in point, Robert De Niro in Hide and Seek, playing a psychiatrist who basically, at the end of the movie, revealed that the killer was him, but was since he suffered from dissociative identity disorder, it was one of his other personalities. I think that's lazy when it's the main character. So it's really, really stupid in those cases. Uh, Here's a hot take: the movie Us from Jordan Peele. I like the movie till the end, and I like the fact that okay, basically basically the underground world in this case. It was basically clone version of them. I didn't like that basically Lupita Nyong'o's character was revealed that she was part of the clones and she switched place with the real Abigail at the beginning. I thought it was unearned as a twist. The twist ending, the first one basically that there was it earlier in the movie. The first twist there was that her clone was the other clone was could be able to talk. That's one thing, but this one felt unearned. So that's for in terms of split identity. Also, there's a French movie called Haute Tension or High Tensions. For the whole movie, the main character is chasing after a supposed killer of a friend, or the person tries to kill her friend, only to be revealed that she was chasing after herself. That's lazy. That's a lazy type of ending. But again, that's not the only trope of movie endings. There's other ones. For example, how about the hero is killed for nothing? Look, I love a movie where the main character sacrifices himself for a good reason, but not just cause the main character dies. So let's basically let's celebrate it. Vaulting Matrix Revolutions. I state my opinion in the trilogies that fumbled. This movie, this ending should have been Morpheus sacrificing himself to save Neo. Yes, it was predictable, but it was established earlier on that Morpheus is actually seeing himself as a mentor for Neo. He believes in Neo being the chosen one. And he will fulfill a prophecy. By doing this, it's all it did is, hey, you know what? Let's surprise people. And it accomplishes nothing. The ending was so bad. If it wasn't so bad, why do you think that they tried to redo it in Matrix Resurrection? Tried to undo it, sorry. Because they realized it sucked. They just went again. No, they just went basically, they did what Vince Russo would do. You expect this? Haha, we're going to do the exact opposite. No, it doesn't work. Also, Glass. Speaking of somebody who does it sometimes for no reason. I mean, Bruce Willis was playing basically the person who's unbreakable. Samuel Jackson is playing Mr. Glass, and James McAvoy played somebody with 24 personality, with one of them being Kevin the Beast. And they're all stated for a superhero showdown in the top of a building, except, spoiler alert, the showdown never appears. Nope, it never happens. The invincible Beast gets killed by a bullet. Despite being invincible throughout the whole movie and throughout the movie split, basically the impervious Bruce Willis character gets killed by getting drawn in a puddle by an extra, and Mr. Glass dies. And the real villain was Sarah Paulson's psychiatrist. I thought was the lamest crap you could make in a movie. Again, you killed him just because there was a twist? No, no, no. Sixth Sense has a great twist. From the same director, this one doesn't. Another movie where the hero dies for nothing. If you didn't see it, No Time to Die. James Bond is a notorious movie icon. He's a movie character that's basically one of the most famous movie characters there are. I can understand somebody saying one day we'll do have to kill him off. I understand that part. I mean, if you're going to continue that same series, if you eventually want to end it, I can understand the character eventually gets killed. But the way he was killed was so stupid in that movie. It's like, okay, he was infected with some virus. Basically, okay, he would live, but everybody would come into contact physically at a 6, 7 feet, uh, 6, 7 feet meters would die. When I'm thinking to myself, you know what? You can always, I know, contact the other person via tablet, via phone. Basically, you could FaceTime them. You could have done this. It's a James Bond. No, he decides, you know what? I'm going to die along with the island. That was lazy. That felt like it was lazy. It was done to placate Daniel Craig. And honestly, could have said, okay, you want a character to die? Fine, but it has to make sense. That movie was already bloated, but that made it even worse. So, yeah, that's for the hero dies for nothing trope. Another thing I detest is when a movie director as the disdain for his audience. What I mean by this is the director hates, seems like he doesn't like his audience for the movie, or basically tries to say, you think you're gonna get the movie you want? No. Screw you, I'm gonna give you the movie I want. AKA the Vince McMahon method. But Vince McMahon is not a movie director, but he's basically the same thing as this. One example, Joker 2. Here's a movie where I feel that Todd Phillips, the director of the first one, did not understand what made Joker great. It was an ambiguous movie. It built up a mentally ill loner in Arctic Fleck, make us sympathize with him, made us feel the pain he did, all the trauma he got, and it's already a screwed up story when basically he tries to keep himself together. He tries to actually, find his place in the world, but Gotham is so screwed up and corrupted that he can't. So basically, the only place he could find, the only time he could forge his place is as a psychopath. It's basically at the end, it kind of made sense, and actually, while he wasn't a good guy in the movie, it makes really you actually rooted for him to snap at the end. Gotham was the real villain in that movie. The second movie is let's take the same character and let's pretend he's just a loser. Because that's what happens in the second one. He gets tortured in prison. He gets led on by Lady Gaga, who's Harley Quinn, was you think is basically is a mentally ill patient. No, she's just some some kid. Sorry, the daughter of a rich, powerful parent who just want to rebel. She doesn't like him the moment he denounces Joker. When Archer Flex takes responsibility for everything he did and gets killed in prison. That's taking your character, your main character, the first one, and taking a huge crap all over it. Speaking of another movie that takes a crap on the audience, The Dead Don't Die. The more I thought about this movie, the more I realized, hey, there's some actors that like the movie, some performance they try to, but overall, here's a guy who was, I don't remember the name of the director, but he doesn't seem to enjoy doing movies that are either mainstream or in the popular style. It seems like he has a disdain of anybody who hates zombie movies. I mean, I was invested in the movie until at the end it's revealed that, hey, you know what? Like Adam Driver's character says it's all gonna end badly. How do you know? Bill Murray asked him, how do you know? I really want to know how you know. I read the script. Literally, they say that in the movie. I read the script. Any moment you add that you were actually invested in the story goes away the moment you hear that. That to me is kind of gross that you do this in a movie. It's very, it's not even tacky. It's basically, it feels like all you want to do is have your cake and eat it too. And the moment you don't, you start blaming the audience. So that's kind of an ending that I don't like. Also, don't worry, I'll get to the ones I like. I just want to get through the ones I don't first. The unearned happy endings is also one thing I don't like. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, Jurassic World Dominion as well. You all know what I'm talking about. I mean, the kid that's a clone that liberates all the dinosaurs, the dangerous dinosaurs from the laboratory because they're clones like her. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, they're clones, but you basically doom humanity by doing so. Why wasn't her character killed? And furthermore, in the next one, Jurassic Dominion, uh, nobody was killed. The main characters, except the villain and a T-Rex. That's it. There's playing it safe, and there's that. Even Jurassic World Rebirth is better, but even then, Xavier, the girl's boyfriend, didn't die, and people were clamoring for him to die. I would love for a Jurassic World movie where basically just the main character and the main bad guys for a change survived. Like, have some guts. I know you're making a lot of money in this, but that's exactly why you should try one. And then if it doesn't work, you go back to predictable stuff. Speaking again of predictable stuff, Indiana Jones: The Dial of Destiny. Is it too much for Disney or anybody to give Harrison Ford a happy ending in a movie that is? A happy emotional ending? I mean, On Solo, he has to be grumpy and miserable. He lost his son to the Force, but still, and gets killed by his son. Blade Runner, his love died. Yes, she was an android, a replicant, but she died. And he spent a long time alone. Indiana Jones, we found out that basically Mutt Williams, which was his son with Marion, he died because he was enlisted in the war. And basically that was the reason why Marion and him were separated. And it's like he can't be happy. You can't have Harrison Ford characters be happy between movies. Like, no, he has to be miserable. I hate when movies do this, especially for this, and that's not bad enough. But Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character, whom I love in Fleabag, she was unbearable in that movie. Nothing she did was earned. Everything she did for herself. She even laughed when Antonio Banderas' character, who I felt was actually the most compelling part of the movie, died. And basically, Harrison Ford said, "My friend died today," and we're supposed to feel like, oh, she got yelled at by some old man. No, it should laugh at somebody else dying for her to survive and disrespecting Indiana Jones. And even at the end, Indiana Jones decided to stay for history was BS. And like he should have had, he should continue studying it and not being history. And the fact that he's just brought back by Phoebe Waller's characters, punched in the face, was beyond stupid. In fact, the more I think about this movie, beyond stupid. James Mangold has done many great movies like Logan, The Wolverine, as well as Ford versus Ferrari, but he's associated with this crap. Never thought I'd say it, but the more I think about it, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom and the Crystal Skull might actually be better. And that says something. That's one. Uh, sure, there's other movies that will fit this, but hey, what about a sequel bait movie? What does that mean, sequel bait? When you pretty much end the movie abruptly and basically either say to be continued in part two, or basically that's what we're gonna do next time, and it ends there. Why do I hate that? Because I like a movie with a sequel, original story, even if it's a sequel or third part of the story, to be standalone. You can make reference to the other ones, but you have to stand on your own first. Matrix Reloaded. I remember Matrix Reloaded came out in May 2003, and Revolution came out in November 2003. But still, you didn't need to end with a to be continued. This is all you can start the movie with. You don't need to end the movie there. The moment he saved Trinity's life, rather than basically Trinity saving Neo, should have been basically a good ending there because it's a reversal of the first one. But no, they had to do this. About Independence Day Resurgence. I mentioned my hate about this movie. It kills off just about every character, so every character you care about in the first one. It killed Will Smith, Miller's character off screen for no reason. It killed off Bill Pullman, who's trying to do a sacrifice, basically a human sacrifice. It served nothing in the end. It just took off the shield of the queen, but not much anyway. The only character that I gave a crap by the end were Jeff Goldblum and his father, Judd Hirsch. That's it. Vivica A. Fox that killed the movie. Robert Loggia was basically sidelined in this due to health reasons. I mean, what was their reason to end? And by the way, the end was basically that Brent Spiner who plays Data in Star Trek. Oh, all of a sudden, because they realized that there were too few legacy members left. Oh, he wasn't killed in the first one. He was just in a coma. Ridiculous. And at the end was like, we're gonna go to over their own planet. We're gonna kick ass. No, it's not gonna happen. It was a bomb, and it deserved to be one. How about Fast 10? You basically Fast 10 is a franchise in which everybody never dies, it seems like. And they're not even superhero, yet it feels like sometimes they're more powerful than superheroes, and you think, okay, Dom is in an impossible scenario. I was gonna get out of it. To be continued. You kill Jacob, or seemingly there. You you seem to have basically Roman seems to be routed, Roman and his crew, and possibly Dom seems to be he's gonna be kicking the bucket, and just end up to be continued in Fast 10 Part 2. Why is there Part 2? At least movies like Harry Potter and Deadly Hallows or Hunger Games, you can say there are books that were actually voluminous that justify a Part 2. This is not. This is not Shakespeare. This is Fast and Furious. It's vroom, vroom, vroom. That's it. And you want a Part 2? When is it coming out? I know it's going to be crap, but I might as well just end it there. I think Vin Diesel really doesn't want to publish the next movies because next movie because he knows that's his last franchise he has. But anyway, alas. Alien Covenant also ended basically a sequel bait for Alien, like to go back in the Alien world after they tried to make it seem like, oh, there's David and there's Bruce. I think it's Bruce. Well, it's the good guy, the good Michael Fassbender versus the bad Michael Fassbender. And for a while, basically, you don't see the battle. And the moment it happened, I knew that the bad android would win. They just made you think it wasn't because he dyed his hair, but he just hinted that basically he just hinted that it was David when he closed down the Catherine Waterson's spot. And I just thought it was lame. Also, I didn't like that basically killed off Naomi Rapaz just for shock value as well. Like she was in the viral videos basically to promote the movie and she's not anywhere in the movie. That's stupid. Another thing that's stupid there. Another sequel bait that never happens. I know what you did 30 summers ago. I know what you did last summer, the third one. It's bad enough, Freddy, spoiler alert, if you ever want to see it. It's bad enough that basically the hero of the first two movies, Freddie Prinze Jr., happened to be the murderer in this, like for no reason to make people remember. It's bad enough that happens, but at the end, after the mid credits, is Jennifer Love Hewitt and basically Brandy basically talk to each other like there's gonna be a sequel. And in my opinion, it's like spoiler alert, there's not gonna be one. The movie sucked, and again, that was a movie that basically tried to make a twist just cause, and to do also a sequel bait is just it's a double sin in terms of movie. Okay, I've talked about bad ending movie endings. Probably there's some more you can list up other than those categories or other categories, but I just want to mention this. Now let's talk about my movies, the movies that I love. That quite frankly, I really love how they end. I love sometimes a good ambiguous ending. You don't always need to tell you what's gonna happen. It doesn't always have to be a happy ending. It can at least be a good ending. Birdman, for example. Michael Keaton wakes up at the hospital and gets great reviews from basically the theater play that he directed. And you think maybe after shooting himself in the face, people really thought that maybe hey, it was a surreal moment, basically some surreal method of acting, basically, and maybe it was in his head. And by the end of the movie, you see him, he jumps out the window, but since he's Birdman, you think basically you see Emma Stone looking up the sky, and you hear basically basically a car siren. So it could mean that he flew like a superhero, or he plummeted to his death. But you don't know. But there's some there's some intrigue in that. There's some intrigue that you don't know what happens. Mentioned before in Joker, this movie basically could have taken so many directions yet. Maybe he did literally all of that by Joker 2. They were basically said they did literally everything there. You could also see that maybe, just maybe, it was all in his head. Maybe he planned all of this in his son. Maybe, just maybe, uh, he imagined the whole thing in the asylum. Maybe he imagined basically, and basically at one point he was in the fridge. Maybe he killed himself by being inside in the fridge. Maybe, uh, maybe he just imagined the the incident with Robert De Niro at the end. I know it's a movie that's off really based with Taxi Driver and King of Comedy, but could have also this. Could also that's kind of ending. I like Whiplash as well. Whiplash with Miles Tellers and J.K. Simmons playing Terrence Fletcher. The ambiguous endings because Terrence Fletcher, being the sadistic a-hole that he is, makes sure to give a song to Miles Teller's character that he never practiced before, and basically had to tries to test him and to see if he's gonna crack under the pressure or if he's gonna rebel against it. No, he's able to play the best of his ability. The point where he's doing the drums. The point he's a bit bleeding, and at the end, he's able to nail the performance. And there's a satisfied smirk on the face of J.K. Simmons' character, and Miles Teller seems exhausted. That's how it ends. Now, the ending may be, hey, Miles Teller's character will be a great musician, but as mentioned in the movie, maybe he's a great musician, but he might have a troubled life. He might be going to drugs, might be heading toward drug addiction. And maybe he's also realizing Fletcher, rather than basically invalidate his abusive way, it's basically, in the experience, the movie kind of validated and told him that he needs to be more abusive to get his, basically, his star, his crown jewel, his diamond in the rough in music. So that was abusive there. It was a very good movie. Another one, Inception. Well, no way it is like basically about the tip, basically here at the top, that the spinning top that never ends. I mean, basically, if it continues spinning indefinitely, it's supposed to be a dream. If it goes down, it's real life. And it just slipped once before it fades to black. And I thought it was a genius. It didn't need to answer the question directly. It could be in a dream, the dream world. It could be the real world. But Leonardo DiCaprio's dumb cob has accepted the reality as it is because now he's with his kids. So there's basically a lot of circumstances that seem to point that it's in a dream world, such as everything lined up perfectly, and he sees his kids, but he only sees them from the back. But there's a lot of things that point out to the real world as well, as in basically his partners in crime, basically, or partners there, basically seeing him at the airport afterwards in very big detail. So it could be either the boat. So that's it. Just depends on what you believe. Okay, there's also a cathartic ending. I just call it cathartic ending that made sense because I don't know how to title it better. For example, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. From the beginning, Randall Patrick McMurphy is is admitted to a psychiatric hospital in Oregon to avoid jail time, sorry. And throughout the whole movie, him and Nurse Ratched butt head, but he started at first. He just wants to do this to get out of basically jail time, just want to relax. But over time, he's grown fond of so many people inside the mental hospital, such as Billy, played by Brad Dourif, Martini, played by Danny DeVito, Tabor, played by Christopher Lloyd, and it leads up to a point, and even he's able to get Chief Broadham, played by Will Sampson, to open up to open up for the first time in years. And the camaraderie that shows for the whole movie, it goes good. And at the end, they have a party together. They have a party with all the patients there. And this is when McMurphy times his exit. And he would be able to time his exit if he basically played cold. And he was able to do this until basically everybody woke up hungover. Basically, some of them woke up later. So Nurse Ratched saw the party and berated Billy, leading to him self-effacing, which is the event that made McMurphy snap at Nurse Ratched, which led to him being lobotomized. Chief Broden basically had to put down his best friend and then take out basically the lever, basically the water fountain, throw it over the window and run for the hills as the ending. And I thought it was a beautiful ending, basically, because now he finally got his courage back. You felt as confident as he was big, as his big size, because Will Sampson was a very tall man, and it's a very emotional ending. So in a way, him and McMurphy spirit left the mental hospital, and it seems like every other mental hospital patient up there felt like they could always leave. It's not out of their realm. They can always do this. So yeah. Surprising, another one is Terminator 2. Yeah, I know you're gonna say, oh, an Arnold movie? Why is an Arnold movie will be on this? I have a hard time pronouncing his last name, by the way. So that's why it's an Arnold. The first one, Terminator, is good. The second one is so great. And the way it ends, they take care of the T-1000, but you think, okay, it's over. No, the Terminator played by Arnold realized there's still one computer left, and he points to his head and basically makes sure he goes in the lava as well. And you feel emotional there because he's the closest thing to a father figure that John Connor ever had. And the way he dies, basically going to the molten lava with the thumbs up, you feel emotional. And you think for an action movie, you really feel invested, you feel emotional. And even Sarah Connor, who became a badass from Terminator 1 to 2, and was very distrustful of that, she basically started to respect the Terminator. Basically, uh, she regretted that had to happen. So yeah, that's Terminator 2. Avengers Endgame's also on that. It's both a good thing and a curse because I felt like Avengers Endgame should have been the end of the MCU. The ending of that movie should have been the ending of the last movie or project of MCU ever because you can't replicate that. It can't be good as that. Tony, this is one that main character sacrificed himself for a good reason. Like I liked basically everybody hang up together, so that's awesome there. And they took down Thanos and the Black Order, and the way it was done was fantastic. So, and he also gave Captain America a great ending to go back in time to be with Agent Carter. So that's for this. Inglorious Bastards. I mean, at the end of the day, basically, Hans Landa basically captured Aldo Rain and his assistant and negotiating with him a deal to basically end the war tonight. So he let basically Aldo's team take care of everything else, of Hitler and everything else. And you think, okay, Hans Landa will get away with it, except he doesn't. The driver of Hans Landa gets killed, and sure, Hans Landa doesn't get killed, he doesn't perish, but gets caught at the end. So he got exactly what he deserved. So I really like that ending. It ended in a great way, and it's like it fits the characters as well. The ultimate happy ending in a movie is Shawshank Redemption. I mean, Andy Dufresne committed for a crime they never committed, had to endure torturous amount of years and abuse before basically planning his escape. And the way he did was patiently trying to dig a hole day by day until basically he dug a hole underneath a Raquel Welch poster and basically was able to go the outside and got the corrupted warden arrested and was able to launder money basically and met his friend Otis, played by Morgan Freeman, and they met at the end again. So that was a very, very good ending. There's also Field of Dreams, which is basically, Field of Dreams, basically, in this case, of a farmer who basically is visited by a ghost of baseball past, and that helps him reunite or at least develop, I'll say this, to further a relationship with his dead father. That's also a great, great cathartic ending. Now, there's also the category that I would say the acceptance ending. That's when the main character, protagonist, accept who he is, accept who he is, and I wouldn't say doesn't need delight, but understand his role, understand where he needs to go. Batman 89 knows that. I mean, the way it ends and this basically the triumphant Danny Elfman song, basically it goes up, the score increase intensity, then you see the camera pan out and you see Batman staring at the Batman sign. It's like he knows now he's not just a vigilante, he's there to help Gotham. And this time it's at the end, finally, it seems like the police force are behind them. So yeah, that was a beautiful ending. I prefer this ending much better than Batman Returns, maybe because Batman Returns is more depressing, but this one is great. Another one, Godfather, the original Godfather. The door closed in the end. And by the way, R.I.P. Diane Keaton. So it happened recently, so it's like R.I.P. Diane Keaton. But it's the fact that she's talking to our character Kay's talking to Michael Corleone and say, "Are you part of the mob?" Whatever, and says, "No, no, we just made it." Basically, trying to deny any implication there. But then she knows everybody kissing his hand, calling the Don Corleone. And when she tries to find out more, she peers in the door, and the door slowly closes on her. Like to basically, it's a metaphor of it's a world she'll never be included in. So I love that it fit well with the whole movie with Corleone not wanting to be part of his dad's world or Santino's world. But the moment they get shot and killed for Santino, or when Vito got killed, he felt like he joined that world, not just to protect his family, but to avenge the lost one, his father and his brother. But as much as he wants to protect it, I'd say vengeance is also the big reason why he stayed. So he made the choice to stay there. So it's very, very important there. About Iron Man 2008, to me, still one of the best MCU movies ever, is the one that started it all. And in this case, uh, in the MCU, we saw basically that uh, at the end of the movie, Robert Downey Jr. tries to basically mark up any excuse that he's not Tony Stark. He's not Iron Man, somebody else. But then he says, "Truth is, I am Iron Man." And the Iron Man song from Ozzy from Black Sabbath plays, and I thought that's great. Tony Stark is so smug that he would accept basically being a hero in public and not hide it. So that was great. Inside Out 2, I felt like was very great. When basically the at the end of the story, anxiety being the villain, it just joy and all the emotion basically had to say to anxiety to let it go. And I felt that was in you saw Riley apply a mindfulness technique of basically to calm herself down, to basically look around the room, basically to try to see to be in the moment. And I thought it was very, very beautiful. And it doesn't mean that anxiety is bad, but anxiety unchecked is bad. So that's very important there. So yeah, that was a very beautiful ending. Puss in Boots, fine enough against death. And basically at the end, say, not being so scared that the Wolf Reaper will come from him. No, this time he says, next time I'll be prepared. I'll just spend my time with my loved ones. It felt like a circle. Basically, that's a character act from a movie I had expected nothing. I just expected a soulless sequel, and it's actually much better than anything bar Shrek 1 and Shrek 2 of that universe. You saw Puss in Boot growing as a character and realized that he can't always be basically an adventure-seeking cat, but he can grow as a person. And the meanwhile, he's going to treasure the relationships he has while he still has time in front of him. Up, gorgeous ending. I mean, for the whole movie, it was very precious. It was very, very rich in his ways. Carl was very rich in his ways, and he saved Kevin and he saved Russell. But in the price, basically to save their lives, he had to let go of his home. And he just said, "Oh well, it's just a home." So he just kept maybe the book of his treasures with Ellie, and at the end, you see basically Carl, Doug, and Russell basically just passing the time looking at different cars. and you see that the house fell into paradise on Paradise Falls, like the wish of Ellie, his wife, and I thought that was beautiful. That's a tear-inducing ending. That's one of the best movie of Pixar's, and one of the, I would dare say it's the best ending of Pixar that's not Toy Story 3. Where did that Pixar go? Now they do good movies, but they don't do great like they used to. Apart from Inside Out 2, which was the outlier. Now, there's also the Redemption Act, which I like to talk. As I mentioned, basically, uh, Top Gun Maverick is a movie about redemption. Basically, Pete Mitchell, Maverick, he basically, the first one, his partner Goose got killed accidentally to a mistake that Pete Mitchell did. And in this case, he spent a lot of time brooding about it. And in this movie, we found out that Goose's kid, Rooster, tries to be basically part of the Navy. Basically, so he's supposed to be a pilot, but Mitchell refuses to let him pass because he doesn't want the same fate to come to him. And the army wants to get rid of Pete Mitchell. He doesn't want to basically doesn't want to basically receive a higher grade, get an office job. He doesn't want to, but let's continue doing what he does. And they're trying to make him seem like basically getting too old for his job. He's going to be obsolete, but he's not. It's very important in that movie that basically Maverick stays true to who he is. And while he second doubts himself as a teacher, thinking that maybe he's not going to help them, especially for a job that seems very impossible to do, he goes to his old friend Iceman, played by the late great Val Kilmer, for advice, and he inspires him to continue doing what he's supposed to do. And when the army tries to let him go, he tries to he takes a jet and then shows the army how and shows his team how it could be done. And at first, the army tries to court-martial him, threatening that he might be court-martial. They don't know if they want to court-martial him or to lead his team to a job that have low chance of success. But based by the next scene, they chose the latter because no other person could have helped this team. And needless to say that even in the ending, even the Talk to Me Goose thing was emotional, was awesome. And for I thought that the Mitchell was going to bite in this movie, but he didn't. I mean, they were saved by the arrogant Angman character played by Glenn Powell, and he was basically a nod to the Iceman, the first one. But I thought it showed basically all the characters have grown, especially the endings. Like basically, Tom Cruise, Pete Mitchell says, "Thank you for saving my life." And the last line from Miles Teller in the movie was, "It's what my dad would have done." I mean, I don't recall a movie really hitting it for a long time since Top Gun Maverick. F1 from the same director, it didn't hit as much, but was damn good. It's basically, it felt like Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt is cooler than everybody else the room there. And he's supposed to be too old to be racing. He's a person who actually flaked out, was and never was. But in this case, he happened to, he happened to win the final race of the F1. So in this case, he was proving his talent and proving everybody that he still has his talent. He just doesn't want to be tied down to one particular circuit. So that's for F1. Deadpool plus Wolverine, I put in this. Not for Deadpool so much, but for Wolverine. That Wolverine wasn't the Wolverine who grew up watching the Fox universe. No, this Wolverine was basically someone who deserted the X-Men and left them to die. In this case, redeemed himself by teaming up with Deadpool when Deadpool wanted to sacrifice himself to save the universe. Wolverine came in and held Deadpool's end to make sure they both absorb the hit so that if the machine blows up, it won't kill either of them. So that was still something. For a Deadpool Wolverine movie, I always believe like this one's the best of the Wolverine movies because as much as it has humor and great cameos, it's also very emotional at times. So yeah, it's also a great send off the Fox universe. Like the best Marvel movie of the last year is a Marvel movies that's really about the Fox movies. So let's think about that. Okay. What about shock ending that actually work? Saw, the first one. You didn't expect the cadaver to grow to get up from the ground and be revealed to be the main killer, but that's what happened in this. And it's still an iconic shot at the end. Tobin Bell played John Kramer to perfection. You expect that to be basically Zepp being the villain, the bitter orderly, but it's not. It's the patient that happened to be John Kramer as the killer. How about Fight Club? The whole movie, you see Tyler Durden and an unnamed narrator fight out until near the end of the beginning of the third act. It's revealed that when the narrator asks the hotel clerk, what's his name? He said Tyler Durden. It's revealed that Tyler Durden is, and the narrators are one and the same. Tyler Durden is just a person that he made up due to sleep deprivation. And at the end, they blow up a building that's supposed to be erasing credit card debt. And he says to Elena Bonham Carter, "You met me at a strange time in my life." Watch the movie. I'm not doing it enough justice. How about the movie Network with Peter Finch, William Holden, fading away? I mean, it's about Peter Finch who plays Howard Beale, who's an aging news anchor who's about to lose his job when basically one day, knowing this, he started to on his last broadcast, he starts to basically break down and basically does a rant on screen and basically use the lots of explicitive to the point where it actually increased the ratings and actually people are clamoring for him to get another job there. So he gets another job from the network as basically to do rants on his opinion. But then he would every time he basically would get a good reaction from people, but eventually the head of the network, and the chairman of the board of the network, basically tells him what they should talk about, and basically pressures him to change his opinion. Basically, so the next time they see him, he basically is acting depressed, basically telling him that there's no use to fight. So people basically the rating, so basically people lose hope, they're not as interested in the product, and basically the the viewership goes down. It ends with basically fading away Robert Duvall's character hiring people to kill Howard Beale at the end of the movie, and that's how it ends. And as the narrator said, this Howard Beale, one of the first time somebody got killed over bad ratings. So that's for that movie. There's also Hereditary. Boy, that movie is creepy. I mean, I didn't expect the ending. You expect about possession. I mean, I didn't expect also the horrifying death of the daughter in the movie. But the end, seeing Toni Collette being possessed and afterwards being basically possessed, and she would everybody in the family would possessed, and the son basically ended up falling and basically supposedly maybe breaking his neck, and he's inducted in the cult. So that's if you see the movie again, it'd be better off if you watch the movie than you listen to just my description. That's a shock ending that works. There's also the hope for the better ending. Little Miss Sunshine. I like the movie. At the end of the movie, basically, uh, we see Alan Arkin's character, like great Alan Arkin's character, die of a heroin addiction in the movie, and basically on their way to a children contest. And while they're over there, basically the kid's character Abigail Breslin, she decided to play a song thing that play Super Freak and start to basically make a to dance in a ridiculous manner, and the whole family join in. Of course, she's disqualified from the contest, but it doesn't matter. They're back as a family. There's hope at this. Steve Carell's character who's depressed, who has an history of being depressed, starts to at least be less gloomy. He's not all super happy, but less gloomy. There's hope for this family afterwards. So that's for the hope for the better. Now, the three categories I got left. There's the bad guy wins. Gone Girl. I mean, Amy Dunn wins at the end. She manipulated the system. She manipulated the system to make people think that Nick Dunn, Ben Affleck, killed her when he didn't, and she used that to kill other people instead, and manipulated Nick into taking her back because they have a kid together. Seven. What's in the box? You didn't see the movie? I'm not saying more. Silence of the Lambs. Hannibal Lecter gets away. Sure, he helps Clarice take care of Buffalo Bill, but he gets away and he says that he's having an old friend for dinner. And the way it's said, it's a great close line for a movie, especially if you know who Hannibal Lecter is, or it is. Primal Fear with Edward Norton. For the whole time, you think that maybe, just maybe, uh, Aaron, Aaron basically is an altar boy who was abused by an elderly priest, and that Roy is basically his angry personality, his angry another personality in him that's acting out of anger. But after the trial is dismissed, you find out that basically Aaron and Roy never existed. It was all Edward Norton's character, basically Edward Norton's character creating all of this, creating this whole the entire situation to make sure he doesn't go to jail. And he told his lawyer basically, after the judge's call. So that was very powerful. There, Goodfellas. Goodfellas, you can say, well, how could he get away with it? Well, Henry Hill got away from this. He just had to basically rat out his former friends. And yes, he was living life in a way that was not what he loved, but he still got away. He still remembered the good old days of what he did, of being a gangster, and can still reminisce about and still having freedom, still being free. So yeah, that's for Goodfellas. There Will Be Blood. Daniel Plainview, played by the always excellent Daniel Day-Lewis. He pushes everybody away of his life, with his supposed brother, his abducted son. He's basically alone at the end. And when one of the priests, basically one of the two twins, played by Paul Dano, who basically is finally humiliates himself in order for Daniel Plainview's to help him for an old oil drill. He lets him know that basically the oil drill has already been done for somebody else. So, and he ends up murdering Paul Dano's character and saying, "I'm finished. I'm done." So, it was a spooky ending for Kanatan movie. It's ambiguous as well. Does it mean he's done that he knows he's gonna get arrested, or he's done because he doesn't feel hungry anymore? He's gonna for the rest of his life he's just gonna stay what he got. We don't know. But the bad guy won that movie. Now, the before the last ending, I would say the happy ending that fits their characters. Rocky, the first Rocky. Rocky 1, it's like, okay, the whole movie established that Rocky Balboa is not the greatest boxer in the world. He's very tough, but he's not the greatest boxer. Whereas Apollo Creed is an experienced boxer, he's very skilled. And the whole movie, you see that basically Rocky doubts himself. I mean, he worked as a loan shark for a while until he was randomly picked from a list of challengers because they liked his name. And there'd be cheesy movies where the challenger would win. But throughout the whole movie, all he wanted to do is to know he's not one to bum on the streets. All he wants to do is go the distance, go the entire 15 rounds without losing. And I know it was inspired by Chuck Wepner and Muhammad Ali fight, but I thought it was terrific. This movie is terrific in the sense of you sympathize with Rocky, you sympathize with Adrian. Paulie can be hit or miss, but can see where he started at. And basically, Mickey tries to be a father figure to Rocky, but only if he does it for the right reason. And you see Rocky being hungry, fighting for it, basically second down himself. The scene where he doesn't know you'd be able to beat him. It's like he knows he's not gonna beat him. He just wants to go the distance. And at the end, that's exactly what he does. Apollo wins by judge call. Wins by point, but doesn't beat really Rocky. Rocky lasts the whole distance, and Rocky doesn't care about the referee call, doesn't care about the announcement. All he cares about is seeing Adrian. And I thought it was a tremendous ending that you cannot replicate. So I think a lot of Rocky movies knows how to have a great ending, and that's one of them. So that's Rocky. About, in this case, Dumb and Dumber. Again, it befits the characters of Dumb and Dumber when I spoke about the best endings ever, and they're on it. Why? Because in this case, uh, they rescued Merry Christmas, and they're on their way back to home, and they have to walk over there, and all of a sudden there's a bus of ladies calling for people to hold them up in the beach, and Jeff Daniels' character says, actually, Colorado's that way. And you think that Jim Carrey's character, Lloyd, says, "Are you nuts?" And then he screams for them to come back, and you think maybe he's going to say, "Hey, we're cool for that." No, he said, "Actually, the town is the other way around." And it's like one day we'll find, those guys they'll pick some lucky guys there, and it's just hilarious as an ending. And it fits the stupidity of its characters. Again, I'll say American Pie, American Reunion. The first American Pie, the reason is most of them got their wishes, but they also grew along the way. Jim got with Michelle, Chris Oz got with Heather, basically formed a relationship with Heather. Uh, what's Thomas Hines? Just trying to feel. Finch got with Stifler's mom. Stifler passed all as a result, and Thomas Hines Nicole's character. Basically, yes, no longer with Vicky, Terry Reid's character, but it's like they decide to still stay friends. So there's a beauty in this. American Reunion also great because Stifler finally, while still being a jerk, he is going to be their jerk. The jerk of the gang. He's finally accepted the gang, realized that maybe, just maybe, he just needs to, while still being himself, kind of tone it down. So he helps Chris avoid basically being sued by a doctor. He he tries to make things all right, basically with the rest of the group, except with Finch, because this time around, Stifler got with Finch's mom as a reversal of this. It always makes me laugh there. And yeah, Jim was able to rekindle the passion with Michelle, and basically, yeah, that's about it there. So that's why I really liked it. Kill Bill. Again, Kill Bill. I'm saying volume two precisely, but at the end, she does exactly what the title does. She got care. Took care of the Viper crew, and she's basically with her family. They're basically with her kid, and she's just going home. She's blessing life that she still has her kid, that she can still spend the time that she never had with her kids, and now basically will be raising her kids. So that's a very beautiful ending. Django Unchained by Quentin Tarantino as well. I mean, Django rescues Brumilda after basically rescuing her from Sam Jackson's character and Leonardo DiCaprio's character. There's Superman, the original Superman, because it felt like a lot of optimist and hope were planted in the air. And I'd say Shaun of the Dead as well. Shaun of the Dead, because after having to put down his mother and his dad, his stepdad, that were zombies, and now Ed became a zombie. You think him and his girlfriend were the only him and Liv, they got away from all of this and were rescued the last minute. And funny enough, basically the zombies were being used now. They found a productive use of the zombies. They would use them as basically uh, as cart pushers in superstores, which is hilarious. And you think, okay, he's gonna get to relax this time around, Sean, but no, they found out he kept Ed chained up in in the basement so they could play video games together. So that's funny. And now finally, I'll end with basically what is apropos for this, a sense of finality. Some movies have a sense of finality. It's usually the last volume of it's always the last volume of their series. For example, Lord of the Rings Return of the King. I don't care what people say, there's way too many endings. There's not. I felt, yes, as many endings as they should have had. It's the reason there's many endings because you're not gonna see those characters again. You didn't see Gimli again, you didn't see well, you saw Legolas again, but you didn't see Aragorn again. You heard Frodo again, but you didn't see him again. So it's a way to basically take care of this and see what happens to all of them. Aragorn becomes king of Rohan. Gimli and Legolas become lifelong friends. Uh, Basically, the hobbits go back to the Shire. Faramir and Eowyn become married, become a couple. Uh, Samwise gets married with the lady at the bar, and Frodo become was so scarred of the Battle of Middle Earth that he joined Gandalf and Bilbo, former ring bearers, to basically the land of the West. I thought it was very beautiful ending. Another one, Dark Knight Rises. I really love The Dark Knight Rises. Yes, The Dark Knight is the favorite movie of the trilogy for me, but Dark Knight Rises is really good. The whole movie, the whole series is about how Batman cannot do it this for the rest of his life, and it's true. If you're gonna do a Batman movie series, you cannot have Batman do this from 20 to 60 and be realistic. I mean, we hear so many things about concussions in football and hockey. I mean, and that's just in hockey and baseball. It's still controlled. I mean, Batman is getting assaulted in the streets. There's no telling what other injuries he could have. The fact he's able to get 4 or 5 years of being Batman is something. But you see in that movie, at first, Bruce Wayne is not trying to be Batman for noble reasons. He's doing Batman because he sees that as his hand. He's basically a guy who's basically wishing it's Batman having a death wish. That's why Alfred left. Because he knew he wasn't Batman for the right reasons. Basically was phoning it in that led to Bane kicking his ass. And afterwards, when it was the pit, he realized to leave the pit, he has to do something he never did before. Every time he fell into a pit, which is the first one, the second one, he was always helped. When he first fell in the pit with Bats and Batman Begins, he was helped by his parents. He was helped by his father. Other times he fell, basically had to be maybe, or he fell in this, he was helped by Alfred. This time there was no one to help him. He had to help himself. He had to help himself climb out of the pit, and he had to do it without a rope. So he left the pit, the Lazarus pit, then went back to Gotham. And basically, like I said, time traveling, people can talk about time traveling of Gotham. There wasn't time traveling. He left several weeks before the bomb was supposed to go off. And then he went to Gotham. He basically did his preparation and made sure that his plan basically confront them 1 or 2 days beforehand. Or at least I think the night before. He was preparing to basically the day they were supposed to be blown up, he would confront them. So just to buy himself and the city time. So after Batman beats Bane, sure, Talia al Ghul reveals herself, and Bane shows that he's not a man of his word. He intends to kill Batman, where Catwoman kills Bane with the missiles on the Bat Pod. Then Talia al Ghul gets killed, and I agree, Talia al Ghul is dead scene is one of the worst one. But take away that, I thought that Batman taking the bomb and going over the river, over the lake, and basically ejecting many miles before it happens, but due to movie editing, you didn't see that because of the point. You think for a while that, oh boy, did Christopher Nolan really kill Batman in that? And the emotional scene that happens, the emotional scene, and the statue of Batman, John Blake throwing away his police badge, that was awesome. That was emotional. And at first, it felt like a scene that, okay, Batman's really dead, but then you find out When Lucius Fox wants to know if there was anything basically autopilot, they found out that it was fixed by Bruce Wayne. So now you know Bruce Wayne survived. You see the bat signal being repaired as Gordon looks at it stunned. And Michael Caine's Alfred Kane, sorry, Michael Caine's Alfred, who devastated me when he cried over the tombstone of Bruce Wayne and his parents. Now went to Italy to visit basically something, take a Fernet Blanca, and found out that Bruce Wayne was indeed there with Catwoman. So just like I meant, it was mentioned in an earlier moment in the movie, all you wanted to do, you didn't have to speak a word. You just a look to know that they made it, that you made it, that he was happy. And that's what happened. And then, like the title says at the end, John Blake was given the corner of the Batcave, and as he looked around, he saw basically a platform that's rising from the front off camera, and then the Dark Knight Rises. And I thought it was a powerful ending. People were clapping in theaters. I went to see that movie 6 times, and people clap at the end every time. It's powerful and has a sense of finality. You know, you get its closure to a chapter. So that's what I mean with sense of finality. I would have said the same thing for Avengers Endgame, but alas, it's not the last movie of the bunch. So, but Logan, I could say there's a finality in this that where Wolverine finally dies, and what I'm gonna say is the happiest they can be, he's accepting of it. And he did it while protecting his pseudo daughter in X-23. Another movie with a sense of finality, Rocky Balboa. Rocky Balboa is a great movie. Is it as good as the first one? I'm not sure, but it's very good. And it's an old movie, in which case, like Rocky doesn't, he lost his wife due to ovarian cancer. He lost in previous installment his best friend, his rival turned best friend, Apollo Creed. And he lost his, in the fourth one. In the third one, he lost his manager, Mickey. It's the only thing that's left for him is Paulie and his son, Robert, who's a bit distant from him. And Paulie, at first, is basically being of his acerbic self. And after basically a virtual simulation, he's interested in getting one more fight to see if he still got it. But you realize that it's not just because he still got it, it's because he's angry that he lost his wife. He's angry that he lost his manager, lost his friend. He feels like the world takes away from him little by little, and he's tired of that. Like he said, no one hits harder at you than life. So, but as he's mentioned in the movie, it's also inspirational. He said it's not how much how hard you can hit, it's how hard you can get it and still keep moving forward, how much you can take and keep moving forward. That old speech is a legendary speech. I will not buckle down on it. That's the best moment in the movie. And Rocky in that movie goes against a much younger boxer, and it's true, he doesn't win, but again, he goes the distance. That was to prove to himself. He's happy that he didn't win the title. He just wanted to last the 10 rounds, and he did. And he goes to Adrian's tomb at the end. And we did it, Adrian. We did it. And I felt like, yeah, he was in the Creed movies, but as a main character, that's it for him. I mean, that was a beautiful send off. Part of me doesn't want to see the Rocky come back in another movie because it's like I don't want the sad ending. He had a great ending. Like just end it there. And lastly, while the movie is not great, I like the ending of Scream 3. I didn't like the reveal that it's his or long lost brother all the time. That was a basically who manipulated other killers and was the ultimate big bad guy. But I like at the end that finally she felt secure that she didn't need to close the door. She didn't feel that insecure. It just ended with the movie. She left the door open and nothing came out of it at the end. That was a sense of finality that I like. So that's my opinion about the best kind of ending, the worst kind of ending. So let me know what you think down below. I think I talked enough. Have a great day. Bye.